Can you imagine a coach sitting his star player or team captain in the league championship, the NHL, NFL, or NBA? 30 years ago, on May 25th, 1989, the Calgary Flames won their first and only Stanley Cup. To celebrate that anniversary, Sportsnet presented a look back over this past weekend at the Flames' Stanley Cup victory. While it brought back great memories of that momentous run to the Stanley Cup Finals for Flames fans, it also shared some interviews with various players as they reflected back on that historic occasion. As well, it highlighted some forgotten details, demonstrating some amazing leadership principles. Principles that significantly explain the Flames' success. Terry Crisp, the Flames head coach, did not dress team captain Lanny McDonald for games 3, 4, and 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. While Crisp did not specifically explain the reason why, it was pretty clear and simple. Lanny was not contributing. In 13 previous games in the playoffs, he had no goals and only 3 assists. He was at the end of his career, and while he was a leader and his mustache was famous around Calgary, his on-ice contribution was minimal. But equally amazing to Crisp's decision to not play was McDonald's response. In an interview, he recognized the coach was doing what was best for the team. And though he really wanted to play and contribute, he recognized that as the team captain, his job was to remain positive, to be a team player, and to be ready when he was called back into action. Of course, if you remember anything about that Game 6 in Montreal Forum, you remember that Hollywood could not have written a better ending to that Stanley Cup series. Crisp decided, maybe it was a gut feeling, he says he decided to insert McDonald into that lineup for Game 6. And Lanny scored the go-ahead goal early in the second period, and the Flames never looked back. Leadership lesson: always put the team's success before an individual acclaim or personal preference. However, McDonald's return to the lineup meant that somebody had to sit out. And in fact, both assistant captains, Tim Hunter and Jim Poplinski, sat out Game 6. So when the Flames won the Stanley Cup that night in the Montreal Forum, and NHL Commissioner John Ziegler presented the Stanley Cup to Lanny, before he lifted it over his head, as every player wants to do, he called over Tim Hunter and Jim Poplinski, in their civvies, their sweats, and their team shirt, if you like, to come over and stand beside him at the presentation table. And the 3 of them together lifted Lord Stanley's mug over their heads. Again, a leader recognizes you win as a team, or lose as a team, and you celebrate together as a team and glory in your victory. While the reason 3 such significant players and leaders were in and out of the lineup during the playoffs was because the Flames were a very talented team. That's also the reason they were picked, even before the season and again at the start of the playoffs, to be the Stanley Cup champions. Doug Gilmour, who scored 2 goals in the Stanley Cup clinching game, and Joey Mullen scored 51 goals and 110 points that year. They combined with Colin Patterson to form the top line on the team. However, Joe Newendike, Gary Roberts, and Håkan Loob were the second line. That is, the second line with 51, 22, and 27 goals respectively. Loob had scored 50 the previous season. It could be argued that was the top Flames line. There was Joel Otto, who scored the Game 7 overtime winner against Vancouver so that Calgary could even advance. He was a face-off master, taking all the important draws. And you throw in a spunky rookie named Theron Fleury, who would become another legendary player. They had a powerful offensive team. But the team also had some lesser-known forwards who were solid two-way players. Whether it was Brian McClellan, Yuri Herdina, Brian Hunter, and the aforementioned Colin Patterson, who was a great penalty killer. On defense, Al MacInnis won the Conn Smythe Trophy, the MVP of the playoffs. But he was joined by Gary Suter, Rob Ramage, Brad McCrimmon, and the 5-6 defensemen were Dana Emerson and Rick Natras. Again, a pretty solid group of NHL defensemen. And in goal was Calgary native Mike Vernon. Arguably, he could have won the Conn Smythe, if for no other reason than they wouldn't have got past the first round if Burton had made some incredible saves in overtime against Vancouver. The Flames' other netminder, Rick Walmsley, was apparently a fun guy to be around, kept the team's spirits up. He only played one period during that playoff run. Yet as the television reporters interviewed these various players at the end reflecting on that playoff run, one key theme continued. We were such a good team. The players enjoyed being together, enjoyed playing together, enjoyed supporting and encouraging one another. Each person, each player playing their role. Sometimes, in fact, different roles at different times of the season or in the playoffs. Well, as a huge Calgary Flames fan myself, it was great to relive those memories. But it was even better to realize the great leadership demonstrated by coaches and players in making that Stanley Cup team a winner. As always, feel free to add your comments below, and if you like this video, share it with your friends. Thanks for watching another video on the Leadership and Life YouTube channel, the channel where I talk about the happenings, thinkings in my daily life, and leadership principles relevant to your life and leadership emerging from them. Till next time, keep living and keep leading.